Testing. Good.
Is it working?
I don't know. Can you hear me? Yes. Sounds like you can hear me. Great. Yay.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, I know. All right. I'll just anyways, that's why you're that's right. Sorry, not the one thing. That's exactly right.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Greetings to you here, those out there, everybody around the world who is sitting in and celebrating Shabbat with Congregation Kol Ami. We're delighted to have you. We're going to get our evening started. We're actually especially fortunate that we have our beloved Lindsay Lev back with us from Austin to help with our music. And she's going to start us with the Nigun, and we'll go from there.
La 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 la
Well, a good Shabbos to everyone. And yes, I'm sure you're imagining that I am devolving before I've even got onto my sabbatical, but that is not the case. This is purposeful. We are actually having a surfeit of special occasion things happening. It's Pride Month, and there's nothing that says Pride like, I don't know, ice cream orange. But more importantly, it is Gun Safety Shabbat. And Gun Safety Shabbat is to remind us to have trigger discipline and muzzle discipline, and especially in light of what's happened the last 3 weeks, just more discipline in general. And strange though it may seem, orange is the color, because back when I was taught firearms, this is the color you wore when you went out into the wilderness, because you didn't want other people to shoot you. Now we all wear camouflage, so we can shoot at each other at will as we like. But orange, shooter orange is the color to remind us to treat our firearms with respect. All right, well, it is time now for us to think about the week past and the Tov Uvracha, the good and blessing that has come to us over the course of this past week. So I am going to share with you some of the things I know about, and then I hope that you will have something. It can be very small, a good and a blessing that's happened to you in your life in the past 7 days. So first of all, we have a bevy of anniversaries. It is the June wedding season, after all. So we want to congratulate Jeff and Marianne Cagle, and Steve and Robbie Gelman, Nathan and Daniel Roseberry, Steve and Ruth Dubner, Joel Loeb and Susan Halsey, and Leonardo Tobel, and Marcella Novick. All of them have anniversaries. We also have some birthdays. So Jean Cherney and Steve Dubrow and Connie Kruger, Dave Diamond, and Irene Golden and Irene Meehan. All of them are celebrating birthdays. I will just add that, quite honestly, I should have kept track of all the significant graduations going on. I am aware that Carter Cagle has graduated from high school, that Alex Prybutuk, I believe, has earned a PhD. I'm sorry, doesn't it? Yeah, it shocks us with our age. Yeah, well, she's still that short, but she has moved on, and frankly, I can't recall the other 3 or 4 people who have completed a major part of their education. So we want to think of them. I'm sure I'll get calls, but it won't matter because I'll be gone on sabbatical. For the people I have not remembered, but anyway, I want to call attention to that. So what good and blessing can you share with us? Does anybody have something to share? And start over here.
Well, I'm here. I have my mother here, and I am teaching here tomorrow.
Wonderful,
along with
yes.
Rabbi and those are wonderful people.
I'll talk to you about Shavuot in just a moment here, but we have a musician, a teacher. It's going to be wonderful. Who over here on this side of the room has a good and blessing to share with us? Nobody on this side. No, the world is just too blah. I understand. Okay. All right. How about over here? Sue's got something. Mazel tov. Oh, okay. All right. Time for beads and balconies. Oh, yes. All right. Very good. And oh, well, we're glad to have you back in the world of sanity. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And Richard?
I'm just glad it's raining.
Oh, thank you. You stole my good and blessing. Yes, no, the rain, which, am I right that it normally comes more like May and June? It usually peters out. So we're sort of shifted over a little bit, but it's been coming, and it is fabulous in every regard except how it affects my dog. I'm not getting a lot of sleep right now because my dog is deeply disturbed by rain and thunder and lightning. But in any case, it's okay. It's okay. I suffer in silence, except now. So who else has a good and blessing to share?
I cooked 2 new recipes this week that I've never tried before.
Outstanding. That's wonderful. Okay, so no, it's the little risks we take sometimes. And they're ones you're going to repeat or no?
Yeah, it's getting me Here.
Right? Okay, good. That's good. I mean, I've tried out some wonderful things. Armenian festival rice, which was great, and I'll never do it again. Some recipes just are too complicated to do, even though you're very proud that you achieved it the first time. So if I were to say a good and blessing, well, it looks like my sabbatical after a 3-year delay is actually going to happen. So Robin and I are very excited about that. And everything's set for Prague and Central Europe. So all good for us. All right, so it's time for us to get Shabbat started. And there's no more appropriate way to do that than kindle the lights that represents the dual light of God and our own souls. So it's my privilege to invite up Geneva to kindle the lights of Shabbat. We're going to be on page 1.
In the beginning, when the Spirit of God hovered over the darkness, God's first creation was light. As we kindle these Shabbat lights, we attest to the majesty of God's work and rejoice in its beauty. Light is a symbol of divinity and creative goodness. It is the outward sign of that inner spark which God has granted each of us. In hope and with love, we now welcome Shabbat with light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
Praise to you, Adonai, whose presence fills the world, who follows us with mitzvot and inspires us to kindle Shabbat lights.
May God bless us with Shabbat joy.
May God bless us with Shabbat holiness.
May God bless us with Shabbat peace. Amen. All right, as we welcome the Sabbath this week, I think we're going to start ourselves on Psalm 97, because you're doing Ramemu, right? Yes, Psalm 97. And so we'll start there on page 4. Or Zorach leTzadik v'yishrei lev simcha. Adonai reigns, let the land exult and the many islands rejoice. Dense clouds surround God. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of God's throne, and God's lightning illumines the world. Light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright. O you who are righteous, rejoice in Adonai and acclaim God's holy name. We turn now to Psalm 99, Ramemu.
Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtahavu ve'hakosho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtahavu ve'hakosho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu.
And together, it is you who established equity, you who works righteous judgment in Jacob. Exalt Adonai our God and bow down toward God's footstool. for God is holy. Exalt Adonai, our God, and bow down towards God's holy mountain, for Adonai, our God, is holy.
Havun Adonai b'nei Elim, Havun Adonai kavod va'oz, Havun Adonai kevod shemo, Ishtahavun Adonai behadrat kodesh, Adonai oz lano yitein, Adonai yevarek et amo v'shalom.
Ascribe to Adonai, you children of God. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name, and worship Adonai in the beauty of holiness. May Adonai give strength to this people. May Adonai bless this people with peace. We turn now to Lecha Dodi, the beautiful and mysterious poem composed by Solomon Alcabez in the 16th century. It is an invitation for Shabbat, which is personified as a bride to come into our midst. For those of you who are visiting for the first time, when we get to the final stanza, we enact this event by standing up and facing towards the door. And I think I'm going to call upon Richard and Kevin. And I know I always call on men. It's sort of a little habitual thing. I could do someone else. Molly, would you do this? Sure. All right. So I'm going to make Kevin stay put because he's got a long way to walk. So Richard and Molly, I'm going to put in charge of welcoming the Sabbath in the final stanza.
Should we close the doors now so we can?
No, you'll welcome in and then we'll close. So Lecha Dodi, page 7, everybody.
Good job on challenging those gender roles, Rabbi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibu echad, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד הוא שמו אחד, ושמו תפארת ולתהילה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת ראובן אלחד, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נשואה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום הטרף פעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, אוי חלה ואוי חלה, להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה, להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
We continue now with a element of Psalm 92 in English, a song for Shabbat. It is good to give thanks to Adonai and to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a harp, with voice and lyre in unison. Sadiq katamar yifrach ve'erez v'lebanon yizgeh, and the righteous shall bloom like a palm. They shall thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Hatzi Kaddish, ladies and gentlemen.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
Amen.
בעלמא דברה הירותי וימלך מלכותי, והיהון וביום ההון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב לאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך יתברך ויתקבח ויתפאר וירומם וינשא, ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל, שמי קדושה בריהו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונהמתה, דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן.
Now, whether it be in body or in spirit, I invite you to please rise for the Baruch. Ma'ariv Aravim. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, whose presence fills the world, whose word makes evening fall. God, you open up the gates of heaven, and wisdom makes the time pass and the seasons change. The stars in the sky move according to God's will. Adonai of hosts is the creator of day and night, causing day and night to alternate. May God govern us always to the end of time. Praised are you, Adonai, who makes this evening fall. Ahavat Olam. And unending is your love for your people, the house of Israel. Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts you have taught us. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and rejoice in your Torah and mitzvot forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life and the length of our days. And then your love shall never depart from our hearts. Blessed is Adonai, who loves the people Israel.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please be seated and please feel free to join in the V'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכלך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיהם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיהם.
Emet ve'emunah kol zot v'kayam aleinu ki hu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ein zulato v'nachnu Yisrael v'amo. True and faithful, all of this is established upon it in this eternal teaching. This truth we hold to be forever certain. Adonai is our rock, the rock of Jacob, shield of our salvation. Adonai, our God, you redeemed us from Egypt, and you set us free from the house of bondage. For this people who felt your love sang songs of praise to you. Living God, high and exalted, mighty and awesome, who humbles the proud and raises the lowly, who frees the captive and redeems the oppressed, who is the answer to all who cry out. All praise to God Most High, the source of blessing. Like Moses and Israel, we sing this song of rejoicing. Mi chamocha, everybody.
Lai 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 lai
Rowan Milner and Nathan Fripp both graduated college. All right.
Oh my God.
They'll keep
No way.
coming to me one by one eventually. All right. But now it's time for us to transition to the evening. Our day is drawing to its end, and we ask a prayer for peace and tranquility as we close out our day. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Grant that we should lie down tonight in peace, Adonai our God, and raise us up tomorrow, O sovereign, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake, be our help. Shield us from hatred and plague. Keep from us war, famine, and anguish. Subdue our inclination to evil. O God, our guardian and helper, our gracious and merciful sovereign, give us refuge in the shadow of your wings. O guard our coming and our going, that always we have life and peace. We praise you, O God, whose sukkah of peace is spread over us and over Jerusalem. We come now to the next part of our service, the tefillah. Once again, I invite you, as able, to please rise.
Adonai sepatati ta'u v'yagi tehilatecha. Adonai open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim, Lekonei HaKol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו ואהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל את הרב ומושיע. מחכה חיים בחסד, וחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומציל אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו משמי עפר, מחמו על גבולות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצליח ישועה, ולמען אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יחלו הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. And in honor of this Sabbath, we're going to be singing Vishamru on the top of page 21.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בינו ישראל, ותהי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. One more time. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Right, say, Adonai, our God, show favor towards your people and lovingly receive our prayers. May the worship of your people Israel always be acceptable. For you alone do we hold in reverence. Modim. And we give thanks to you, Adonai, our God, God of our ancestors. You are the rock of our lives, the shield of our salvation for all generations. And we thank you and we recite your praises. Let all the living affirm you and praise your name as the God of our salvation and help. Praise to you, Adonai. Goodness is your name. All praises to you. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha lacha ne'eh lahodot. And finally, we draw this part of our service to a close with a prayer for shalom, with a prayer for peace. Shalom Rav on the top of page 23. We'll follow that with a little time for your prayers or your meditations, as is your inclination.
Shalom Rav al Israel amha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Israel amha tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Israel amha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Israel amha tasim leolam. V'tov beineh levarei et amha Israel bechol leit ubechol shor bishlomeha. Shalom Rav al Israel amha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Israel amha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. הוא עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. ואמרו, ואמרו אמן.
All right. So we're in the book of Numbers. We're in the second parsha of the book of Numbers, according to the Israeli schedule, which is what we use over the summer, at least I use it. And we're in the portion known as Naso, but I want to focus just for a moment on the book of Numbers, and I'll come back to the Torah portion, Naso, in a second. The alternative name I give to the book of Numbers is the great Jewish book of Kvetch. All right, because it is the book where the Israelites spend a good part of the Torah portion complaining. Oh, the food's not so good. The portions are so small. When are we getting to the promised land? I need a toilet. On and on they go. There's rebellions. There's all kinds of problems going on with the Israelites. So it's the time to kvetch. And I understand that. We all love a good kvetch. And, it feels good to get it out. But so I guess for rabbis, that's true, too. So I'm going to bring you my kvetch. This is my kvetch here as we come into the summer. Things are in transition for the Jewish community of North Texas, more so perhaps than usual. We're losing two of our area rabbis. And one of them is retiring, and one's moving to another congregation. And as happens when this kind of thing goes on, this little churn happens, it's the time to shul shop. And so I've been talking to people from these other congregations who are thinking, do I want to stay with this congregation now that my rabbi is gone? Do I want to stay there? I am bald because of questions like this. All right. Why is it that people determine their relationship to their Jewish community based on the rabbi? It drives me nuts. And for the greatest kvetcher and sin of all, my mother-in-law. I have to talk to you about my mother-in-law because it's been gnawing at me. My mother-in-law has been a member of her congregation for 55 years. I like to call important figures of this congregation amudim, pillars. She's not a pillar. She's a cornerstone. She's a yasod. She has the memory of this congregation inscribed in her. She knows everyone. She knows all their secrets. And today, earlier this month when she was visiting, she was sitting there talking to me about their rabbi. They hired a new rabbi in the past year. And she's like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't feel like it's my congregation. And I, in that elegant sort of counseling pastoral voice, said, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? This is your congregation. You're going to let a rabbi drive you out of your congregation? This is your place. You have always been here. People know you better than they know anybody else in the congregation. Why would you give that up? And she, probably just to avoid having me yell at her again, agreed with me and said, yeah, no, I get it. I get it. It really is my congregation. I said, that's right. And maybe she'll stay, maybe she'll go, but this is your place. These are your people. You know these folks. Stick with it. And she said, yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. And so I do now want to come back to our Torah portion. It's called Naso. And I think the essence of this problem, this fixation upon personality in order to sustain our Jewishness, may have its roots here in this portion. Because this is a portion where all we get to hear about is princes. We hear about these donations to the congregation, and each and every prince comes and brings something. And there's the prince of the tribe of Judah, and there's the prince of the tribe of Naphtali, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all princes. And then, and it's boring. I'll be perfectly honest with you. It's not a thrilling Torah portion, but there's a little gem in the middle of it, right? And that's the moment when we are told that the priest, the high priest, can bless the people. And then they tell us this blessing. And this is a very, you know this blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha. May the Lord shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord show his face towards you and look upon you with favor. May God grant you peace. On and on it goes. It's a famous passage, but according to the way it's phrased, it's the priest's job to give that blessing. And therefore, I think we have been tricked, and I blame our ancestors, probably the priests, because they're not around anymore. So I can blame them, maybe God, not going to blame God, going to blame the priest, that they make it such, it's so hierarchical. It's this idea that somehow we are dependent upon some higher individual, some intermediary between us and God who is going to make blessing possible. And without them, it's not going to happen. And that, I think, is one of the fundamental distractions, one of the fundamental failures of our tradition. Now, if we talk about the priestly blessing, it is true that if you went to a conservative or you went to an Orthodox shul, the primary person who would do that was someone with an ancestry as a priest, a Cohen, a Katz, a Kaplan, anyone with that background that they claim their family was a priest. They, on the holidays, on Yom Kippur, would be invited up to do something called Dukanan. And it's a great ceremony, right? The priests come up and they throw their tallis over their heads so that they're like Casper, the friendly ghost. And they face towards the congregation, they sway back and forth, and they hold their hands in the great tradition of Leonard Nimoy, who established this, of course. And they say the priestly blessing over it, and they chant it in this very uncanny cant. And it's kind of cool. It's kind of awesome. But again, just reinforces this idea that we need a conduit of blessing. And that is not the case. If you look at the rabbinic commentaries to the priestly blessing, they always call attention to the fact of the priests are only instrumental, not essential. So one commentator will say, hey, look at who calls up the priest, the shliach tzibor, whoever happens to be in charge of the service that day, summons the priests up and tells them what they're supposed to do. And that shliach tzibor represents us, right? And then you'll also see that occasionally it can be said without a priest. All you have to do is you have to do this little preamble, this little disclaimer, and now you will be blessed with the blessing of our ancestors, the priestly blessing, the threefold blessing. You hear it when we read the Yom Kippur and the Rosh Hashanah thing, and then we say we sing the priestly blessing, even though we don't have a priest up here. And that actually I've arrogated to myself. So when we have a bar or bat mitzvah, I will say the priestly blessing over one of our children. I'm not a priest. And at the end of the day, this is as much as we've made concessions to having people who will serve as intermediary figures. We need no intermediaries. Hopefully, we don't want any intermediaries. We stand ourselves before God, before the universe, We offer our confessions directly to the Holy One of Blessing, not to me, not to some other agent in our congregation. And at the end of the day, remember what a rabbi is. A rabbi is nobody special. I don't want to tell you this when it's time for me to get a raise, but I'm nobody special. Seriously, I'm just a technical expert. That's all I am, right? There's nothing I do in this congregation that you can't do. And that is why I can take 3 months off and go and do my sabbatical, because there are people who are ready and arrayed to take up the roles that I would fulfill, leading services. Well, I don't really fulfill singing, but singing and counseling people if they need it. There are other rabbis for a funeral, but you don't need other rabbis to perform a funeral. You can conduct a funeral. Anything in Jewish tradition is in your power to do. So I just want to remind you, as I take off, that I am dispensable. What's indispensable is your relationship to God. What's indispensable is that I don't make this Jewish community work. You make this Jewish community work. You always have. And as much as I may be a fulcrum for directing your energy and suddenly saying, oh, Geneva, would you light the Shabbat candles? Or, or Molly, could you sit on the board? Or any of the things that I tend to do, that's just facilitating. The blessing is yours. The power is yours. So over the summer, I want you to remember that. This congregation sits in your hands. And I'd like to conduct a little experiment. I've done this at Green Family Camp with teenagers, but I'm going to do it with you too. So this requires pairing off. All right. So Hannah, I'm going to send you over here and join. And then you two in row there, let's see, Richard and Betty, and then Sue and Melissa, and then you two over there, and you two back there. And yes, go to your mom. And I don't know, we're just going to have to stick you in the middle, young lady, between you two. I want you all to stand up. All right. Now, the first test of this is you have to be able to do this. Can you do this? Most of you can do this. Right? More or less. All right. Now I want you to turn to the person next to you so you're facing each other. All right? And I want you to say, Yivarechecha Adonai Elohecha. All right? I want you to say, Ye'er Adonai Panav Elecha V'chunecha. And then Yisa Adonai Panav Elecha V'yasem Lecha Shalom. And then repeat after me. May Adonai bless you and watch over you. May Adonai shine upon you and be gracious to you. May Adonai turn with favor towards you and grant you peace. Amen. There you go. All right. Sit down, everybody. When Moses went up the mountain, according to a midrash, he found God working on the Torah, reading the letters, and the Holy One of Blessing said to Moses, Moses, why don't you greet me? Do you not greet people in your city? Do you not say, hey, how are you doing? How come you can't stand here and you're silent before me? And Moses answers, Rabbono Shel Olam, master of the universe, shall a slave say shalom to his master? Shall a slave bless their master? And the Holy One of Blessing says, don't I deserve a blessing? Even so, help me. I need your blessing. And so it was that when we pray, we say, Baruch atah Adonai, blessed are you, Adonai our God. It is we who give blessings. We who stand as the hand of God. And it is God who has given us the power and the dignity to bless and make things sacred. We are the instrument of God's blessing. You are the witnesses of God and God's representative on earth. If God is to illumine our lives, it means that we must turn to each other and illuminate each other. If God is to shine upon us, it means that we must come face to each other and with other human beings to enlighten them, to take away their fears and their doubts and sustain them. May that be your mission while I am gone. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So, with that, it's officer time. Who's our officer? Molly, the mighty Molly, who is actually organizing everything that's going to make this place work during services while I'm gone. Thank you for doing that. There you go.
You're welcome. Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom. I will say, and you'll like this too, is that for the next 3 months, actually, pretty much the women are taking over the Bima.
Yay.
And we've got a few men here and there, but for the most part, you're going to see mostly women up on the Bima. And that's not because I planned it that way. It's just because that's where it landed. You know, so we will be having a lot of women up here while you're going. You'll come back to a whole new Bima. You won't even recognize it.
And I will be happy.
Good. Okay, so you did that. Okay, announcements for this coming week. After missing out on his last opportunity, thanks to COVID shutdowns, the rabbi is preparing to leave for his sabbatical on Monday. He will be out of the office from June 6th through August 28th. The ritual committee has been working hard to make sure we have all services covered and to be here for all your religious needs. While it won't quite be the same, we are hopeful that we can fill in while Rabbi is out recharging his batteries. Reach out to Bob in the office while he is gone, and he should be able to help you with whatever you need. And if you can't find something, always remember to go to the website. It's got to be there. Okay, first Friday Shabbat dinner, that was tonight, right? Please note that the first Friday Shabbat dinner, the next one will be on Friday, will be on the second Friday, July 8th, since the first Friday is part of Independence Day holiday weekend. So instead of the first Friday night Shabbos dinner, it'll be the second Friday night Shabbos dinner. Tikkun Liel, Shavuot. Shavuot is a time of giving the Torah, which actually starts tonight.
It starts tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, right? Are you ready to receive it? We will be celebrating here at CKA with Tikkun Liel Shavuot from 8 p.m. to midnight tomorrow evening, the 4th. And we have a great lineup planned for this year. This sounds really good. Bruce Cohen is going to teach us about Jews and pestilence.
Believe me, it's a fun topic.
Coming
out of our own pestilence, it's worth.
I was going to say, let's hope this pestilence is better than the COVID one that we've had lately, right?
It will be because it was more remote.
Oh, good.
I think he'll be talking about the Black Death and all of those things.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Lindsay Lav is teaching about Debbie Friedman and her music. This is going to be good. I'm looking forward to that. Taylor Diaz is teaching about Rashi and his love of language. She's a French major?
She's a French teacher, and she studied Rashi.
Rashi, yeah.
And his use of medieval French to teach Torah.
All right, that's going to be good. And then Rabbi, yes. This will be your last performance before you go?
Performance is a term. Yeah.
He's going to talk about what the Talmud teaches about how we can talk about Bill Cosby.
Or Johnny Depp, or,
Oh,
you know.
a myriad
How
of other.
How do we deal with idols of clay?
I like that. I like that. Okay. There will also be snacks and drinks served. So we hope that you can be there for this exciting evening of Jewish learning tomorrow night. Let's see, mitzvah opportunity. We have 2 volunteer board positions that are open that we're looking to fill for the next year. The positions open are the VP of Building and Maintenance and the VP for Fundraising. So if you have any interest, reach out to Paul Dietz or Stephen Ducar, or you can come to the annual meeting on June 26th and nominate yourself or somebody else, as long as they have your permission to do so. All levels of experience are welcome and encouraged to participate. As always, you can find all the specific details for these announcements and anything else you might need on the congregation website. Very good. Okay. Misha Berach. For those who need healing. Our list today has Harry Anthony, Joyce Bloom, Natalie Bavino, Sandy Cook, Mark Davis, Francine Feingold, Michelle Griffith, Carol Jones, Molly Kalig, Deb Kaufman, Toby Kennedy, Clayton Kirkwood, Lauren Koenig, Alex Koenig, Gianna LaMonica, Deb Ledden, Phyllis Lorelli, Shirley Lunsford, Paul Redwood Jr., Sandy Garber Rubin, Bruce Saari, Adrian Sandler, Myra Schusler, Dale Seaver, Megan Sharkey, and Happy Waterman. That kind of sounds like darn. That sounds like a name for who's the Hanukkah song guy? Adam Sandler.
Don't go there.
Oh,
No, it's her name.
Happy Waterman. I think it's great. I mean, that's like, how good could that be? Okay. As I go across, anyone have someone to add to the Misha Berach list? No? Anybody? Thank you. Thank you. Very good. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you. Have I? Nope, we're good. Okay. Misha Berach is in your pamphlet on the back or page 40. That's what I was thinking. Page 40 in your book.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Kor Abraham Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
So the fact that we are able to send this service out into the airwaves, onto the internet, to be able to reach people who wouldn't otherwise be reachable is because we have volunteers who step up and make things happen. So I thought today for our Elenu, I'd ask Kevin our technical person tonight to come on up and open the ark with me. Will you all please turn to page 82? Please rise. Come on. So, out and away. All right, we got page 82, everyone.
עלינו לשבח לדור הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נותן שמיים ויוצר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגודל מרומים, הוא אלוהינו עליון, אמת מלכנו אפס סעודתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום להשבותם אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת
ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Now is our time, as is true in congregations around the world, that we name those people who have been part of our communities that are no longer with us, people who have touched our lives, people who have shaped our lives, people who still are with us even at this time. In that spirit, we begin by thinking about those most recently passed away. We have taken up the practice of thinking of those individuals who in the past week have died far before their time due to violence in places like Ukraine, in places, other unnamed places of conflict, all those victims of violence. So think of those people in your heart for Shiva. Is there anyone else who's lost a loved one in the past 7 days? We're also thinking Shloshim, those people who've lost a loved one in the last 30 days. Is there anybody here who's lost a loved one in the past month? Here at Congregation Kol Ami, the art sites, the anniversaries of death for these individuals are remembered and honored. Sydney Album, Lillian Brenner, Sally Cohen, Leo Davis, Lola Epstein, Josephine Merrill Loss, Heidi Merkler, Jack Potash, Aaron Schlanger, Mark Stevens, and Dorothy Fox Weisbard. Is there anyone else here with an anniversary of death of a loved one they're recalling? For those who knew these people and mourned for them, we hope that the memory grows joyous and sweeter with the passing years. As for us who understand the loss that they experience, we rise together in sympathy on page 85 and we recite Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ve'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, bagalal uvizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach Le'olam Ulamei Maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei Dekutsha B'rechu Le'elam in kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Mim Shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. O say shalom bimroma, huya say shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all the bereaved among us, and let us say amen. Please be seated. And I believe our song is going to be Eitz Hayim. It is a tree of life. If you go to page 81 in your prayer books,
Eitz Hayim hi lama hazikima v'tomehecha ve'ushar ve'raheha tarhei mo'am v'chol tivotecha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai Eilecha v'nashuva Havesh Havesh Yameinu Havesh Yameinu
well, I'm not going to say Lehitraot because we've still got Shavuot tomorrow evening. I hope as many of you as have the time and the endurance to come and join us and celebrate the giving of the Torah. There'll be food and fellowship. It'll be wonderful. So, Shabbat Shalom. Chag Sameach, everyone. Let's go say Kiddush.
So this is probably because this was happening.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
Because some of the music like good active power.
Oh, so there's several. Well, there's several, and there's several in sports.
And one of the leaders actually want a benefit as tradition in their children's song. Or maybe it's not.
Huh, that's interesting, because at high holidays. I do that one sometimes. So that's there's very but this congregation
By the time I got married. See? Yeah. It was a lot cheaper.
Rabbi Charles and Rabbi Dick.
Sharon too, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank your mom for the contribution.
And stand both for the stories and the characters. And I think the writer really figured out what she wants to do with these two characters. Right, so, yeah. All right, we'll see you tomorrow evening.
Oh, do you know the order?
That, I was going to put them in second class. Yeah, so, so you can go back.
Oh, wow, I don't know if I can talk for an hour.
Oh, well, you'll talk for 45 minutes.
Good night.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you.